Back to your daily dose. My name's Robert. It's my pal Susan, and we are doing a dive into day one. We've talked about it many times. My feeling right now, day one has evolved into, in this iteration, the Parkinson's Prison and the Hero's Journey to Escape. It's our writing program based in Joseph Campbell and some other co-teachers along the way, especially for this round, I would lean toward, including Brene Brown, Viktor Frankl, Stephen King, Chris Vogler, and many others who pop up. Emily Dickinson, most recently. And what happens is we meet for this curriculum-based class for 16 weeks, 90 minutes per class, once a week. We have this incredible time where we're guided by Andy Dufresne and the Shawshank Redemption as part of our journey. And we reflect about what Parkinson's is against the 12 steps of the hero's journey. And by doing that, we discover what? What do we discover? What do you discover on this path? Let me put it that way to you.
Well, the same thing that I just said in the last dose about the jam, there's a great deal of freedom that you offer us to be authentically our own voice. This is the Parkinson's is in the title of the program. And while my personal writings were stimulated by the fact that I have Parkinson's and have had cancer several times, that can get in your head. And it did. And it hit on a very sensitive place. And I ended up writing about old family notions that I was a slave of, that my Parkinson's has, it's like electric probe, it's like poked it. And so I didn't talk that much about the Parkinson's journey. This was my journey. And every one of you who were commenting on my writings, as we do in your comments, supported me where I was. And it's a hallmark of the way you run your programs that I'm very grateful for.
The way you phrase many things struck me just now, but there's one of my favorite quotes from Stephen King speaks to what you're talking about right there. He was asked when, after he was struck by a van, nearly killed him in the late 90s as he was out for a walk, and he's lying in a hospital bed in terrible recovery. I mean, he broke so many bones. It was a long, painful recovery he had, and he was sitting there with his wife Tabitha, and they said, "So do you think you're going to write about this?" And he kind of looks at his wife and they smile, and he says, "It all goes in." And I just love that, because here's the crappy thing about Parkinson's, maybe sometimes in the way it's represented. People would like to insulate or isolate and say, "Yep, that's Parkinson's. It's just right there. That's all it is." And it ain't so. It runs across all sorts of things. And by the way, you don't have your Parkinson's life and this life and this, that, and the other. They interconnect. You are interconnected to the many pieces of you, and you're interconnected to the pieces of others.
Yes. Yes.
Their tapes, their stories, their whatever. So until you recognize that, you don't recognize that you have been perhaps hijacked by old family stuff, right? And that you have belief systems that maybe you've assumed are true. And until you recognize that and you go, "Wait a minute, I don't believe that at all, but why am I doing what that tape says?"
Yeah.
That's what gets unpacked here.
Right. Right. We have the freedom to do that. It's, if you were to take a class in college or something and it had X in the title, you probably would think you had to write about X. And this is absolutely honoring our own exploration, coupled with some pretty great writing style tips and hints and making us better writers. Metaphor obviously is the thing that comes to mind first, and I think we got braver with that because we were in a safe space to do so, and better at it, understood it more.
And you learn by listening too. All of you did. The more you listened and wrote on other people's stuff, the more you got permission to do you got braver when each of you spoke up. And you know, I always point back to John as being one of our real truth tellers. The minute he spoke up, it felt like then someone else went, well, I'm going to push open the wall. And then one said, yeah, I'm going to push open the wall. And all of a sudden we just threw down the wall, right?
Mhm.
Like, oh, wow, I get to say that. I get to feel that. And the class just exploded. And we got to do one more because I got something in me. So we'll be
Okay.
back to the next daily dose.